You can't feel like you're always in the running for something if you're not confident in your own abilities.
You were a two-way player.
Attempted, yeah.
J.D. McReynolds.
J.D. McReynolds.
J.D. McReynolds.
J.D. McReynolds is a standout pitcher from the University of Central Missouri.
Former Rawlings Tigers player is a key component to the top 10 ranked Mules.
He's helped his team win a regional, has reached a mid-90s fastball, and played in the prestigious Cape Cod Collegiate Summer Baseball League.
I mean, iron sharpens iron. You're not going to get any better if you don't play people better than you.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever disappointed not making Division I baseball?
In this interview, JD opens up about his fierce competitive mindset, the pivotal role the Tigers played in his growth, and why he chose UCM's blue-collar baseball culture while pursuing a mechanical engineering degree.
What did club baseball do for you?
Club baseball was...
This is a Rawlings Tigers podcast episode.
JD.
Spiker.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. So just make sure the mic's like super close
Okay.
to the mouth.
I'm about to say this one was kind of tilting down a little bit on me, so I got to watch it. But
Yeah. No, it's all good. The thing that I remember most about you from when you played for us was your unbelievable competitive fireness and then your unbelievable knack of just wanting to get outs and being able to compete. Is there anyone that you face that you're like, this guy can beat me? Or are you always on?
No. I mean, I think if you let that creep into your head, it kind of gives you that feeling of doubt, and then it makes you less confident in what you're going to do. So, I mean, it's every time I step on the mound, it's I'm better than you. I'm going to go beat you. And if you beat me, then you beat me. Hopefully you beat me on my best. Tip of the cap, I'm going to get your teammate out.
So if you could pick one player, whether in the history, like past or now, one player that you'd want to face, who would it be?
One player to face.
You get one at bat.
One AB. I mean, I grew up a Cardinals fan, and watching Pujols and Yachty and all those guys, I think I would probably bring it back to Pujols when he was still playing. I would love to face him.
Prime Pujols?
Yeah.
When he was real hot. Mm-hmm. The reason I wanted to start the conversation there is that I feel that a lot of players don't think that way. They don't think in the manner that how you're thinking is that I don't care who you are. I just want the opportunity to be able to face you. Mm-hmm. Do you see that that's an issue inside the game right now?
I think for some people, yeah, and it's it's very noticeable too. Because, like, you can tell when those guys are, like, on and confident and they're like, I'm going to go get you out versus I'm going to try and stay away from a barrel, or I don't want to get hit hard, or I just gave up a hit. Mm-hmm. My confidence is kind of going down. I mean, easier said than done, but you just got to fill it up. And, I mean, it's baseball. It's going to get hit at some point. But you're going to get people out a lot more than you get hit if you're confident and in the zone and just want to go beat everybody.
I just talked with Gavin, and your class has been the most interesting class to me because you guys were thrown probably the worst dealt of cards possible out of a recruiting standpoint. I mean,
with COVID and everything like
that.
Yeah,
you just got dealt like a really bad hand. Mm-hmm. Every single player on that team, from my knowledge, except a few, well, obviously, we probably know who those people are. But you guys handled it completely different than most kids your age that we played against. Mm-hmm. It felt like you guys always knew that you were in the running for something. Mm-hmm. Do you think that is a byproduct of who you guys are as people, or do you think that was because of the group that was created and you guys were just feeding off of each other?
I think it's a combination of both. You can't feel like you're always in the running for something if you're not confident in your own abilities. And then outside of that, the people that are standing next to you and behind you on the field. So I guess like in a way that chemistry was a big factor of the way we were and why we were the way that we were as a team. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like we didn't want to I don't want to use the word disappoint, but we wanted to make sure that we gave it everything we had all the time because we knew the guy next to us wearing the same jersey was going to do the same thing.
And with the new ruling of the NCAA, most likely it's going to happen with the junior college thing. High school kids are probably going to be in a perpetual state of what you guys went through.
Yeah.
What would be your recommendation for those guys? Each class is different, obviously, and each environment, team environment, is going to be not what it's hard to describe to the people that are listening or watching what that team was like. But if I could put it down into one word, it was like you guys were all like warriors, black ninjas, Jedi Knights. Like you didn't care who you were facing, what you're doing. It was, we were going to compete. I mean, for God's sake, we went through a shooting in the middle of our game and you guys were still like, oh, are we done?
Yeah, we're going to go win the championship next day. Yeah.
Wait, you're saying the game's
Can we just go play the next day?
Can we play can we play this inning now?
Can we finish it and then go? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That I forgot about that. I haven't thought about that in a while. But no, with the new ruling, I haven't done a lot of research into it, but I've done a little bit of it. I think my biggest recommendation was don't feel like you're above going to a JUCO route. Because I feel like a lot of people is like, if I'm not playing D1 baseball, like I'm not doing it right. But a lot of people probably that are playing in college probably could go, but they just need time to develop. And so that I think, while I think it's a good thing, I don't think that like those true freshmen that are going to the 4 years playing against 24, 25, 26-year-olds is going to be healthy for the game. But my opinion.
But you did it.
I did do it. And it was a learning curve for sure. Because, I mean, I got in there. There were 25, 26-year-olds that had been there 6, 7, 8 years. And it was playing with them, I guess, was a good way to learn from, like, a maturity of baseball aspect and seeing how, like, the composure, I guess, and the mannerisms of those older guys and kind of have it translate and trickle down to the younger people. But there's pros and cons definitely to both sides of it, but I just hope it leans more toward that pro side.
Yeah, you had to grow up pretty fast.
Yeah.
Was junior college beneath you at 18 years old, 17 years old?
That was if I didn't commit to Central, I was going to a junior college. I was talking to Jeff Coe in Hillsborough, and then a little bit to Johnson County, but nothing was ever confirmed there.
You were a two-way player.
Attempted, yeah.
I love how you said attempted.
It was tough, and
because if I would have said that to you in high school, you would have ripped my face off.
Oh yeah, I mean I gave it a try, so I can't be disappointed with it. And we know what came of it, so I don't have any regret in that aspect. But if you're not elite at both, it's going to be really hard for you to be good. And so at that point, it was pick which one you're better at and then go.
When did you know?
When I got called into Crooks's office one day.
So it wasn't obvious when you were playing?
Oh, I mean, I was a bottom 10% hitter there, probably. Like my execution scores weren't good. I was getting carved up in BP every day. Like it wasn't fun. And so he brings me into his office one day. He's like, who would win right now? You at the plate or you on the mound? And then there I kind of had the idea, like me on the mound. He's like, okay, let's focus on that for a little while. And it's gotten me to kind of where I am now. And I'm grateful that conversation, that open and honest and raw conversation happened.
We'll talk about like the mentality too. Like your mentality on the mound is totally different than what it was at the plate. I felt like.
Yeah. I'm 100% more confident on the mound.
Why was that?
I feel like I was more comfortable there on the mound than I was in a box. And when I was hitting, I'd strike out or not hit a ball off the barrel, and then I would just try and overanalyze everything and be way too far into my own head.
So you think like the losses were a lot harder on you at the plate than losses on the mound?
Mm-hmm. I tried to be perfect in a game of imperfections, and it took me it took the bat out of my hands and me out of the box.
Right now, you're at University of Central Missouri. I've lost track of because you guys went through that crazy recruiting process. Mm-hmm. What technically year are you?
I'm a senior. I'm a true senior.
You're a true senior.
Yes.
So you don't have like the extra medical or anything like that, or the extra COVID year or anything like that?
I did not get a COVID red shirt. I I was a year too late to get a COVID red shirt, I think. And then, so the 2 red shirts that I could have had are med red and then the regular red shirt. And didn't get a regular one my freshman year. I burnt it. I threw 3 innings and burnt it. And then, knock on wood, haven't been like super or hurt enough to get a medical red shirt yet. So true senior.
So this is your last year. Do you see the draft in your future?
I want to go play beyond college. Yes.
Whether that's independent, foreign, or
yeah, I want to go play professional baseball.
Okay.
But outside of that, I want to play until I'm told that I can't anymore.
okay.
And then once it hits that point, it's okay. I gave it a good run, and then you go get on with life. But
And then where are they slotting you at in the pitching rotation or in the pen? Where do they have you at?
it'll be a mix between like closing games and then long relief out of the bullpen.
Okay. So you're going to be one of the main arms. Mm-hmm. And what are you throwing right now?
Was up to 95 this past year, sitting 91, 93, and then toward the back end of the season it was 91, 94.
So the metrics are there.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you know where you're at scale wise from a breaking ball perspective and all of that?
Not specifically, no. Like I've never had any pitches graded or anything like that, but my changeup has been my go-to off speed for the past couple years, and I feel is what's gotten me to the point that I'm at now, being consistent with that. And again, I feel like that's a pitch that every pitcher, young pitcher, old, everywhere in between, should get down before they throw anything that curveball, slider, cutter.
Yeah, for sure.
Get that.
You're in a unique position because Division II has a unique perspective because you guys go to summer ball and you play mostly with Division I guys technically, and then you also are able to swing towards the junior college route and play with those guys in the fall against those guys. What's the difference between all the levels? If you could label it down to a few things.
I think it's just the consistency. It's the higher you go into like D2, D1. It's going to be more consistent talent, I feel like. It's not that – because you're going to have your guys that throw 100s at NAIAs, at JUCOs, at D2s, D1s, but you're just going to see it more at the higher level. So I feel like those like the NAIAs, the JUCOs, the D3s get a lot of bad reps because it's not D1 baseball, but there's talent there. And if you're a good baseball player, people are going to find you.
So would you say it's like the depth?
Yes, 100% depth.
Yeah. Like if you're able to get in the pen – you're pretty much going to be able to start scoring runs and everything like that. And then obviously the lineup is probably a little bit thinner at the bottom of the order than it is at the top of the order.
Yeah.
And all that.
I would say the further down that you go to like, I guess the smaller kind of collegiate organizations, it's the easier that is to fall off and have those holes.
Okay. Gotcha. UCM is also unique because they have an historic tradition of winning and winning consistently. I mean, if you look at the history of the coaches, I mean, the coaches have historically gone on to Division I schools and done really, really well. Talk about like what it means to be inside of a winning program like that and what the culture is like.
It's an extremely competitive culture, which I love. I'm a big fan of. I mean, this fall, like we would just randomly, not even knowing it, we'd come to the field and like, okay, you guys are going to compete in ABC today, and we're going to see who can go do it the longest. Okay, let's go. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to try and beat you. As a pitching staff, it brought us a lot closer together in a matter of a week. And so we'll do like they keep a lot of records for like BPs and inter squads and all that stuff, and it's kind of a bragging competition between the pitchers and position guys. But at the end of the day, it's a competitive family, and when it's time to lace them up against somebody else, then it translates really, really well to being competitive.
So the coaching staff is constantly barking on you guys to be competitive with one another, whether that's conditioning or just individual games and stuff like that.
Beat the guy next to you, beat the guy in front of you.
So would you say that most of the mentality is similar to yours? Like if you looked at every single guy?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people that want to win and know how to win, and will do just about anything to go get it done.
Do you guys sniff out when there's an imposter?
Yeah, it's kind of, you can see it because it's obvious the ones that I guess aren't as competitive or don't want to be as competitive as some of the guys that are like, I want to beat everybody here. But I mean, you still love those guys because they do everything with you. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I think you're less of a teammate because of it. Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, you can, at that point, you need to be a good teammate and kind of kick them in the butt a little bit instead of like pointing them out that like you're not competing as well as you should.
Do the people, those guys survive?
They survive, but it's not an easy survival.
Really? Has any of those guys ever been like a contributor, like a huge contributor to the team? Or have they been more on the wayside of like being the clubhouse guy?
I think there's both of them. I mean, my freshman year, it was a big culture shock. And then not playing a whole lot. And that was something that was kind of new too, because it was like, okay, going from a small high school and then the team that we had to where it was like we had 12 guys. So
yeah, you were
going to play.
Yeah, you're one of the centerpieces too. So
and then going to kind of like that bigger pond and not being the main guy was a little weird. And then, but it was definitely a good learning experience. And at that point, you have two options. It's either you let it completely take you down, or you say, I'm not going to deal with this, and I'm going to do everything in my power that I can to try and get on that field. And I did everything in my power to try and get on that field.
Yeah. Were you ever disappointed not making Division I baseball?
No. I mean,
do you think that's just like a status symbol that people have that they need to just let go?
I think so. But I mean, Division I baseball is good baseball. Like, but Division II baseball is good baseball. So is D3. So is JUCO. So is all of it.
I always thought about this. Tell me if my thought process is right. But I always thought, why go Division I baseball if they win 10 games? I would rather be in a position where I'm going for championships, whether that's Division III or Division II. I mean, hell, I almost chose Division II. I almost went to UCM. Like I was like that close, like literally that close. And Coach Gutton convinced me not to do it. But I was very, very close to doing that just because of the temptation of, well, I could go and possibly win a World Series and be a national champion.
Yeah. I mean, too, kind of with that, it was like I said, I'm not disappointed in the least. I don't think that I wasn't like the stud kind of stand out at like 14, 15, like those guys that get recruited early with D1s. Like I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah, because like back in the day, it was early commits back then.
Yeah, it was.
Right now, it's not like that anymore.
If you're not getting looked at by D1s when you were 14, 15, when I was in high school, odds are you probably weren't going to go D1. But my two big things that I wanted to look for when I was going to school was, is this place that I'm going to go, can they compete? Can they go compete to win? And do they want me to come play there? And I would rather be valued and compete than go play for a name and not play and not win.
It's respect. That's what it comes down to, right? Just all about respect. Let's talk a little about school, major wise. Like, what are you majoring in?
Mechanical engineering.
Holy cow!
It's not as cool as it sounds, I promise.
A mechanical engineer, and you're a huge contributor to that baseball team. How hard is it to manage that?
It was different going from high school to a college classroom, because in high school it's about the opposite. It's you're going to be in class most of the day and then a little bit of schoolwork. Yeah. Where colleges, you're going to be in school a couple hours and you're going to have to do a lot of homework outside of classes. Yeah. So being able to get used to that schedule and adapting to, okay, baseball's not going to take away from school and school's not going to take away from baseball. Yeah. Finding that happy medium did take me a little bit. I think it was probably my sophomore fall where I finally got that balance of, okay, I can do a lot of baseball and now I can do a lot of school. I've got that time figured out. So don't get frustrated if it doesn't come easy, I guess, is kind of the message with that. But just make sure that it's a consistent effort to try.
What I love about it, though, is that you're challenging yourself. Like, so many guys opt out not for the challenge. Like, mechanical engineering is not an easy major to go after. I mean, the time commitment that you have to have in the library and studying, I'm sure, is pretty enormous, right?
It's some classes are, so the more major related classes are that way, but some of the kind of like the gen eds and the freshman, sophomore level engineering courses weren't as much, but the more that you get into it, definitely, yeah.
Did you know that you wanted to get to be a mechanical engineer?
I wanted to be an engineer, but I didn't know what kind I wanted to be until I looked at the degree programs that they had. I mean, I've always been a big math and science guy. You looked at my ACT scores, you could tell what I was going to go do. Like I had over 30s in math and science, and then was mid 20s in English and reading.
It was like writing on the wall.
Exactly. So instead of going and reading,
I don't care what Sally did in the forest.
Exactly. Let me go crunch numbers and build things. So yeah, it was pretty early on that I knew that I wanted to go do something in the kind of STEM field. So, and that's what I ended up settling with.
And how'd you manage, like, did you do internships and stuff like that with the summer baseball?
I haven't, no, because of summer baseball, which I don't know that I recommend that for people going forward.
Interesting. So you would have not played?
No, not that I wouldn't have played, but I wish I was more proactive about taking care of my internship. So I graduate in May, but won't have my diploma because my internship isn't done, but I'll still have all my credits will be done. So I think it's like a 3 to 4 year grace period with that. Like all the credits will still count. So it'll get done, but it's not the ideal situation for it to be done.
Because typically in your field, you would do a 6-month internship or 3-month internship?
I think it was 80 hours.
Oh, 80 hours. Mm-hmm. Okay. So like that's like a drop in the bucket. That's not hard at all. So, and then you end up choosing summer baseball. Where'd you end up playing summer baseball at?
In between my freshman and sophomore year, I went to the Northwoods and played with the Duluth Huskies, and then didn't play anywhere in between my sophomore and junior summers. And then this past summer, I went to Cape Cod and played for Chatham.
No way. Mm-hmm. How did you do?
I got up there kind of late. I had a couple outings. First one was rough. I was spraying it everywhere. It was like my shoulders were getting super tilted and I couldn't feel it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, kind of collected my thoughts after the game, got a hold of my pitching coach. He was watching. I'm like, I know something wasn't right. Something didn't feel right. Like, is there anything that you could see? And then so talked to him. A week later, got another outing. But in that whole week, there was an emphasis the entire time in catch play and like the touch and feels off the mound and everything of keeping like focusing on what I needed to focus on. Mm-hmm. And so it was that intent that kind of built confidence back up. And then the next couple outings were back to what
normal.
I was. Yeah.
What did you notice with hitters in the Cape Cod League? And if people don't understand what the Cape Cod League, it's the most premier summer league in college baseball.
A lot of good competition.
Like if you go there, you're really good. Like you're very, very good.
It's good baseball for sure.
Yeah, it's and they play on really crappy high school fields, and there's a lot of MLB scouts that go to these games. It's highly recruited. So, what did you notice with those hitters that you faced?
It felt a lot more professional. Like just the way that they carried themselves, what they said, what they were doing. It was it felt professional and looked professional. I think that would be the biggest difference between like just regular everyday versus going out there and playing.
What was the biggest learning experience that you had? Like
in Cape or in college?
Just in Cape.
I think it was honestly for myself because I mean I went through I lost a good amount of weight out there. I just didn't do a good job eating. Mm-hmm. And my velo was way down, like 5-6 miles an hour. And I think I was 86, 88 most games, but I was still getting outs. So the biggest lesson that I took away was that these D1s, the Power 5 D1s, like they can still have trouble with the 86, 88. Like
if you know how to get outs.
Yeah.
If you know how to compete.
It's not even close to what I would consider my best, but I'm not going to go not compete against you. Like I'm going to still try and get you out.
So did the game become a lot easier when you came back?
Yes and no. From a competition standpoint, it felt like a little easier because it was going against like the best of the best. And then, but coming back this fall was a lot of mechanical adjustments with everything. So while it was like the competition, it's not the same competition coming back to the fall versus the summer. But while that wasn't the same, it was still a fall of change, and it was constant change. But it was definitely a good learning experience too, because it let my pitching coach actually be able to kind of dissect videos a little bit better, and like, okay, you need to work on this, this, and this. And so, all right, we get back in August, let's get to work.
Looking back at your recruiting, what did you think you did right, and what did you think you did wrong?
What I think I did right was get out in front of the coaches. That's the biggest thing that you have to do. You have to go be out in front of the coaches. You have to establish a line of communication.
Explain that.
Going to camps, sending emails, sending videos.
Even though the cost is there, you take the cost.
You have to. Like if you're serious about going and playing, you have to. And then just keeping in touch from time to time, big time too. Because once you establish that line of communication, you don't want it to go dead. So you want to, hey, how's everything going? Like a couple spring games in, a couple summer games in, this is how everything's going. I mean, it doesn't need to be every day, but like an update every week, every couple weeks doesn't hurt.
Yeah, Gavin had a funny story that Wichita State ended up blocking him, and he ended up going to Wichita State.
Because I don't think I ever heard that from him.
Yeah, I asked him like what he did right and what he did wrong, and he goes, what I did right was I took Twitter pretty seriously. What I did wrong was I didn't take it serious enough. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I only had one school block me, and that school ended up picking me.
Exactly. Yeah, I think too that was social media. Even nowadays, is one of the best tools that people can use for recruiting, and it's an easy way for people to see kind of a glimpse of who you are. But the best setting for coaches to see you in is a game setting. There is no better setting for that, because they get to see exactly who you are as a person, as a competitor, as a teammate.
You're a little bit different. You're very extroverted, but you're also introverted at times, very humble. I think that comes from being in Franklin County. I know that because that's where I ended up going to school too. So I know what it is to be humble. And if you step out of line, you get called out pretty fast. How did you battle that with like the recruiting, where recruiting is a totally different game than being humble?
Gosh, that's a good question. I mean, for me, I don't like to talk about my baseball career with any other people unless it gets brought up.
Yeah, so, you hate it.
Yeah, I do not like it at all. But when it comes to recruiting, I don't think that there's anything that you can there is some things, but most of them, I don't think that it could be taken as bragging or humble. Like you're trying to showcase yourself. That's what it has to be, and people have to understand that. And so, I mean, it's like the people that post videos of them, the mid to upper 90s guys, like I don't consider that bragging. I think that's just like, I want to go play. I want to go keep playing. I'm going to show you why I can go keep playing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a double-edged sword, but done the right way can be very, very beneficial.
What did you do wrong?
I think, along with Gavin, I didn't utilize social media enough. Like, I was kind of new to it with the whole Twitter thing. Like, I would post videos and some stuff on there and retweet and do whatever. But
what prevented you?
Not knowing, I think, not really having anybody that could lead me down that direction. Because, I mean, I'm the oldest kid of my family, and there really wasn't anybody that I was close with that went to go play beyond high school where I went to high school. So it was kind of a shot in the dark, almost a little bit, but I think that if 100% needed to be more active on social media, especially like Twitter.
I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this question and where I want to take the conversation, but from a skill standpoint and trying to figure out what you need and get, because that's the hardest thing in high school is that you don't know what you don't know. And Division II, Division I, Division III, what would you be the biggest recommendation on trying to up your skills as a high school athlete? And like, if you could go back and be like, hey, these are the things you have to worry about. This is the stuff that you shouldn't be worried about.
I mean, as much as I don't like to admit it, I mean, velo was a thing that I was kind of stressed out about in high school. Like it matters, but it doesn't at the same time. But I think the more that baseball progresses, those people want to see those 96s, the 97s, the 98s, the 100s. People want to see that. And I even catch myself now doing it, to seeing those guys throwing 100. I'm like, why can't I do that? Like, what am I doing wrong that I can't do that? But you see videos of it because it's hard to do. And so while it seems like it's common throughout social media, those people are unicorns when you look at it. And I think probably what I would have benefited most was probably in the weight room. Not that I didn't try when I was working out, but just do it earlier. Like, do it earlier in my career.
But your mentality is also different in high school. Like, you look at the weight room and you're like, I really don't want to do that.
I mean, there's some days where I still do that too now. I mean, you get there tired and it's like, I don't feel like doing anything, but somebody's going to do it if you aren't. So it's always that thought in the back of my mind. I don't want anybody to get better than me.
Yeah, we had this conversation with Eric Miller, who's with the San Francisco Giants. And we had this conversation about weight room, and he goes, I'm in it every day. I have to.
Yeah.
Like, I have to work out. I have to do something, right?
I feel guilty if I don't, almost.
Yeah. And I end up sharing with him. My wife was mad at me. She was like, working out for you is so easy. I was like, no, it's not.
Might look it,
It
but
might
it's
look,
not.
yeah. And she goes, it's easy for you to get in the gym. I was like, I bet you 90% of the time that I go into the gym, I don't want to be there.
Exactly.
And that's the hack.
I mean, it's hard to do the same thing over and over and over again each day, but you got to do it.
And seeing those little gains, and you're not, and sometimes you don't even know if you're making those gains. And you're like, am I
doing this for nothing?
Yeah, am I just in here just wasting time and not doing the right thing? And I guess it's kind of similar to schoolwork, where like you're doing these books and you're reading, and then you're like, is this information even getting stuck into my head? And finally, just all of a sudden you start spewing out this information, like, oh yeah, I guess it is in there.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I feel like that sometimes when guys throw 95, 96, and it surprises them at times, it's like it's a culmination of like, it happened overnight. That whole joke, it happened overnight.
Yeah.
It was just a culmination of just one little step after one little step, and then finally figuring out, and then all of a sudden
And something clicked,
Yeah,
and
just
then
clicks.
it happens. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, I could show you guys that are 6'4" and built, and they can't throw worth a darn, and I could show you guys that can do that, and they have the same build.
5'8", and
Yeah, same
throw
thing,
100.
5'8".
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's no cookie cutter build for a baseball player. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and I think people overlook that fact too. I mean, you can be the biggest, strongest, meanest person out there, be terrible at baseball, but you can be average strength and be outstanding. Like baseball really is a truly unique game in that aspect.
Was there at any point your freshman year when you weren't playing that you said, I'm done with this?
Not done with baseball. I was frustrated. Like I won't deny that. I was very frustrated.
Because that has to be annoying to go into a ballpark every day and knowing that your name is not going to be on the lineup.
And it was like I was hoping for those blowouts every day, whether it was good or bad for us. I mean, it was just, I want to get in a game. I want to get in a game. I want to get in a game. And I mean, it was a big confidence loss. But then summer ball was 100% where I gained a lot of confidence back, and then took it back in the fall of my sophomore year, and I just ran with it.
What would be your recommendation for people that are going through that?
Keep going. You can't expect anything to change if you don't. And
how do you distract yourself from the thing that's front facing you every single day?
It's hard, and I don't know that I could give an answer to that, because I don't know that I even know. But it's, in my mind, it's always been, don't give coaches any reason to not play you. And I'm going to do whatever, like working out, whether it's practice, whether it's extra reps, I'm going to do whatever to get on that field. Because I don't like sitting in a dugout and cheering. I do. But when it's
Yeah.
that versus playing, I want to play.
Yeah. Well, you know that you're going to actually have meaningful innings, and you're going to be a contributor to that championship team. Hopefully, you know, it's a totally different aspect. Like looking back at that freshman year, could you tell like why you weren't playing?
I think it was just because I was young and I was a little immature, and I wasn't ready to be a college pitcher yet. They tried, but it was.
What do you mean by being a college pitcher?
There's a difference between a high school pitcher and a college pitcher. I don't think I was fully changed to the speed of the game yet, even though I thought in my mind that I was. But being able to look back at it and where I'm at now was not there.
You weren't even close.
I was close,
You were
but
close, okay.
I wasn't in a spot to where I could consistently help the team. And you just have to adapt, and you can't let it speed up on you, because the second you let it speed up on you, everything just spirals down, which again, easier said than done, especially with the environment that you're in. But
can you explain what it means to get sped up in the college game? Because it's totally different when it comes into high school. Like, it's very hard to know what speed up means in high school, because it's pretty relatively like you're going to end up facing a bad team and then you're fine.
Yeah.
But
it's not letting your highs be too high, not letting your lows be too low, and not trying to do too much at any certain time. Like everybody wants to be the guy, right? Everybody wants to have the hero moment. Everybody wants to do that, but not everybody can, and not everybody should. But it's stay within yourself, but at 110%. Because if you're going fast and making a mistake, that's one thing. But if it's because you're going slow, then that's a completely different thing. And that's when you let the game speed up on you, is when stuff starts to compound mistakes and just thoughts. And it's a bad scene. I've seen it happen to teammates and
you're
other
in your own
people.
head.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's no way, you can't get yourself out of it until you just sit back and just.
Until something snaps.
Yeah. And you're not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get a yelling at by the coach.
Or you need to get the reality check of you're not as good as you think you are. You need to start busting a little bit more, which is I got one of those my freshman spring, and I think that was a big contributor to kind of the way I was over the summer and then coming back in the fall.
From your coach?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any seniors call you out?
Not directly, no. Probably needed to at some point, but never anything directly. But there was a conversation that I had with Crooks. I was talking to him after a practice one day, and it was, this, why isn't this happening? You've done this before, you've done this. Where's it at? I'm like, I couldn't give an answer. And there was
he was asking
where this, you could do this before, you could do this before, and you're not doing it now. Why not?
Oh man.
And so
that's a tough conversation.
As a wide-eyed freshman, you're like, it's either, you could take it two ways. It's either coach doesn't like me, or
which is what a lot of people do,
or he is invested in me enough to care and talk to me about that, and now it's up to me to make that change. And I made a change. I had to.
So were you just quiet?
Yeah, I put my head down and tried to get things done.
Just thinking I'm thinking about how I would handle that. That's unreal.
Yeah,
that's a sign of a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
When the guy
when a coach gets quiet, you should be scared.
I'd rather have that than someone yelling at me on the field.
I would rather have somebody that's going to hold me accountable and get on to me when I need it, instead of let me do those things continually and then it turn into something worse. Which is what I was trying to say about that. Not somebody who's just on your ass all the time.
Emotionally, looking back, did you hate him at that time for that?
I never hated him for that, no. I've always been a fan of, if you're going to say something to me, I'd rather you just say it instead of beat around it. Mm-hmm. And he did it. And there was nothing but respect for him at that point for pulling me aside and having that conversation man to man with me.
Talk about junior college guys versus guys that come in as a freshman. You have a unique perspective because you were one of those freshmen, but you also now can see junior college guys coming in. What's the difference?
They're just more polished. They've had time to kind of adapt to what college baseball is. And I mean, it's a new environment for everybody, but it's just those guys that have been around it and seen what college baseball is. So it's kind of they're more ready and more prepped for it in a way, but it's still being able to adapt to the environment that you're in.
Do you think that they're harder to get out in the beginning, in the fall, because they're a hired gun?
So, some of them, yeah. I think in some cases that's true. In some cases, there's some freshmen that are tough outs. Like there's some guys that are just going to foul off 4, 5, 6 good pitches in a row, and then something's going to bleed through a hole at some point. Like that's just what it is. But the consistency of hitter from JUCO to high school, I think JUCO is 100% more polished and more refined and more disciplined when it comes to being at the plate.
So if you were an advisor, would you recommend someone going junior college? Or
Absolutely.
You'd tell them, don't be a freshman, just go junior college?
If you can go compete and they want you there, like I said earlier, that's where I would want to go. Junior college is not a bad route for anybody.
How do you know if you can compete though? That's the hard part.
You don't know until you go try.
So then it becomes like, might as well try it, and then you can always go back and fall back into junior college.
And then if you figure out that you can't, you got 2 options. It's either you get out of there or you do enough to where you're able to compete with people there. And so, I mean, if I wouldn't say go either way. I would say go where you're wanted in that aspect.
That's a really good point.
I mean, there's good baseball at all levels, and if you're a good baseball player, good baseball is going to find you. But go where you're wanted. Without a doubt, go where you're wanted. I wouldn't go for a name, even though I sound kind of hypocritical with where I'm at. Like it's a well-known name across Division II baseball, but it's for the right reasons. And it's because they try and push you to be the best baseball player and best person that you can be.
I also feel like as a pitcher, you probably have a more distinct advantage over a positional player just because there's more options and more opportunity as a pitcher. Plus, if you throw the number, if it's a 9, you're pretty much in a good spot. Like you know that you're probably going to play. You probably could see potential innings. Yeah. Where a positional player, you have no idea with your bat if your bat plays at that level or not.
It's just honestly at that point it's day to day once you get there, especially in season. Like you're hot, you're going to be in the lineup, you're cool. Like we're going to set you for a little bit, let you get a little confidence back, see some BP, and then once this guy's not doing what he's supposed to be, then you're back. I mean, it's just that changing cycle, and I think that's what a lot of people get bummed out when they get taken out of a lineup or don't get innings. Is like, oh, I'm not doing super well, this, that, and the other. But it's not because it's not out of the wrong reasons. For the most part. It's not for the wrong reasons. It's to get you back to where they want you to be.
Do you feel like the game has like college sports in general? I really want a player's take on this because I'm not in the game, and I talked to a few coaches, but they're not really out there talking about it just because of their bosses and everything like that. But I think from a player's perspective, it would be unique. Do you think the game's getting away from education? It's going mostly just to sports.
And meaning
like players are more going to schools because of sports rather than trying to get a degree.
I think so.
Do you think it's a problem? Because the reason I ask that is because you're challenging yourself. I'm getting a degree in mechanical engineering, and you're a top arm. Do you feel like those athletes sometimes aren't pushing themselves to like get really hard degrees?
I think so. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's
their
the
choice.
decision. Yeah, but I said that's the decision they make. And it could be what they're best at. Yeah. So that's another thing we got to take into account too. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't value baseball more than school at this point. Like it's hard for me to not say that.
Yeah.
but it's an important aspect though. School definitely
That's
is.
what I'm saying is like when I was playing, it was baseball and school. Like it was like really close, right? Now it feels like baseball's like way up here and like school's just like this afterthought.
Well, I mean, the way some probably organizations are ran, they make players believe it that way. Personally, I can speak on us. We don't. They're very, very adamant about you're going to be in a classroom, you're going to sit in the front, and if your grades aren't where they need to be, you're going to be in study hall with us.
The coaches push that.
Yeah, big time.
So you're required to go to study hall
If
your grades are good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It feels like a lot of that's kind of going to the wayside now.
Yeah, it's getting a lot more, I feel, lax in that department. And I don't think it's necessarily a good or a bad thing as long as it doesn't completely, like, it's not like a super noticeable, like everybody's focusing on baseball more than school. And then when people get to job markets, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I've been doing baseball for the past 4 years, not school. I can't go do anything right now. But I think baseball definitely, for me, is I spend more time with that than I do school. But you still have to do school at the same time.
You still have to show up and get the grades.
Yes.
That's my biggest point. Is
Yes.
like I feel like that's kind of going to the wayside. It's like
I definitely feel like that's school dependent. And
like if you get a C, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like, no, like that's not okay. Like we expect excellence. We expect that you get your grades so that we don't have to be on the fringe of like, are you going to be eligible or you're not going to be eligible?
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the ideal student in the classroom. Like I've had my shares of grades that I'm not proud of.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's a lack of effort.
That's the whole point.
It's just there's something that I didn't do good on, or
Yep.
like classes don't have a lot of points. Like this past semester, I had one that had 220 total. That's hard if you miss like a handful of points here, there,
Yeah,
or there.
you're in a
hurting
hole.
quick.
Yeah, you're in a hole.
Yeah, and so I was against the wall in that class for a lot of the semester. But
I mean, again, that's also your major that you're dealing with and everything like that. Like I'm talking about like doing sewing club on Tuesdays and getting a degree on that, you know, like something stupid that like has no benefit whatsoever into the real world. It's just a weird major, right?
I mean, at this point, like for college athletes, it's or for me specifically, baseball, but in general, sports is your extracurricular, and then you have school. And if you find time in between those two to do something, you're not doing one of them right, I feel like.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I want to end off the conversation with this, is that your parents have done a really good job, and probably one of my most favorite in how they've handled the recruiting process, handled your career. They never really inserted themselves to a certain degree, but they did insert themselves in other areas. Talk about how your parents talked you through your recruiting process and how they handled their coaches along the way.
I mean, it's my two biggest fans, my two biggest supporters. Yep. It's they want what's best for me, but at the same time they let me make those decisions because I would make the decision. They trusted me enough to make the decision that was best for me. So, I mean, whether it was like mom sitting behind the plate or above the dugout getting videos or me and dad setting up a net and a tee in a yard and we just go swing for an hour and do whatever. I mean, it was always, we're going to do everything that you want us to help you with, and wherever it goes, it goes. Like we're not gonna live our careers out through you. We're not gonna tell you what to do, how to play, how to be. We're gonna let you make your career because we had ours, and now it's time for you to have yours. And I think, my dad coached me growing up till the time I was in high school, but it wasn't like you're gonna play shortstop and bat 3-hole every game. It was if you're not doing it, we're gonna find somebody else to, and we could talk about it on the car ride home. But he's definitely one of the biggest people that has helped me in my career to this point. And two, I mean, it's just him teaching me how to be a baseball player and just how to be a human being in general. And with that, I want to add this because he wanted me to. Going to Central for a camp my junior fall, Stamberski was still the pitching coach there. And we get there bright and early, 7:15, 7:30 in the morning. Eyes barely open. It's cold. Field's still wet.
Yeah, not great conditions for you. Yeah.
Raining all day. And we get there, and we're doing the check-ins. And Stambo's running the check-ins. And walk up to him, shake his hand. Good morning, Coach. My name's JD. I'm ready for the camp today. And so after that, I mean, we had our live game get rained out there. So we went inside and was throwing. I was like 84, 85, 86 maybe.
This is your junior year?
This is my junior fall before COVID.
Okay.
And so he's like, Stambo, after I got done throwing, was like, okay, we'll be in touch. And so he sent a letter around Christmas time. And he's like, we really want to have you up for some games. We're going to have you up like around end of February, March.
Yep.
And then he wrote at the bottom of that letter, P.S., best handshake I've ever had a player have. So that is what stuck out in his mind, and what made him remember me and my dad that was there that day was a handshake. And
What makes a good handshake?
You look somebody in the eyes and it's firm.
How firm?
Not try and break your hand, but it's like I always kind of see it as a competition with handshakes. Like, I'm going to beat you in this handshake. Yeah. And when somebody gets me, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But I've always put a lot of emphasis on a handshake as a man.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like you can tell a lot about somebody the way that they shake hands.
100%.
And he liked it, and he wanted me to come be there and play for him. Unfortunately, I never did get to play for him because he went to Colorado Mesa and then bounced around a couple other places, and he's at Mo West now.
Yeah.
So we'll play him 3 times coming up this year. But
talk about how your parents handled the coaches.
In regards of like
Just
talking
like,
to them?
Yeah, just talking to them. I feel like sometimes parents overthink it a little bit. They get stressed out. They think that it's never going to happen. And then you have some parents that are like super relaxed and they're not really totally involved, and then you just drop the kid off and that's it, right? Like they were like right in the middle.
My parents have been involved but not overbearing. They were both college athletes. My dad played baseball. My mom played softball, so they kind of knew what that process looked like. But it was more so they weren't worried about me. They were just trying to take in information too. So they were just trying to get like on the same page with the coaches and with me and everything like that. So it was more question filled from them, I guess. Just asking like, okay, how is this? What's this about? On down the next. But it was to make sure that I'm not going to go somewhere that's going to damage me or put me in harm's way.
Yeah. And they never played that political game either, which they tried to be like buddy with the coaches either. They were very
my dad's very anti that.
Yeah, he was very respectful in a lot of ways when it came to that, because coaches can definitely sense that out for sure. How do they handle you now with college?
Every time I throw, I'll call them after. It's like, hey, this is what happened. It's like,
that's it.
I fill them in and talk to them once every week, every other week about baseball, just fill them in. Like, this is how it's going in the weight room. This is how practices are going, progressions, throwing. Just anything about baseball that I want to talk about, they want to hear. So it's just, they're still very active and very involved with baseball now. What
did club baseball do for you? And then what did the Tigers do for you?
Club baseball was...
Give me the good, bad, and ugly. I want to hear it all.
Club baseball was really, really fun for me, especially because we had great chemistry with the team that we had. Like we all played with each other for 2-3 years, and we all thought alike. And it was I think seeing that environment and knowing that that's what it potentially has at the next level and even better, just made me that much more excited to go want to play. So I guess it was. We had an okay high school team. Like it wasn't anything to write home about, but we would go compete from time to time, and then it was frustrating at points. But summer ball was the breath of fresh air. It was like I'm going to go be around
like-minded people.
Yeah. I'm going to be around guys that I love and I consider brothers.
Mm-hmm. What about the Tigers?
It was the first place that we looked to when we were trying to go find a different team to play for. And then Jaws ended up talking to my dad about starting a team. Mm-hmm. And we got a ragtag team of guys from Cuba, Sullivan, St. Clair. Mm-hmm. I mean, everywhere that's not St. Louis, basically. Yeah. And we went and played in St. Louis, and we're going and competing with those guys. Mm-hmm. So I guess that the main takeaway that club baseball and the Tigers gave me was I was able to go compete with what I thought was great competition. And I mean, iron sharpens iron. You're not going to get any better if you don't play people better than you. Mm-hmm. So being able to be in that environment where there's people that they might be better than us, but we're going to out-team you. We're going to do everything better than you do, and we're going to walk away with a W. And I think it was kind of that mentality that I took from it.
What's your last question here? What's your sales pitch for UCM?
If you want to grow as a human being and as an athlete and as a person, I don't know that there's any better spot for you to go. It's blue collar baseball. It's low, like as simple as it is. It's blue collar baseball, and everybody's going to push each other. Everybody's going to beat each other's ass. But outside of the lines, I've got 50 brothers there with me, and it's friends for life and guys that I wouldn't have rather had it anyway with in college, good, bad, and different.
JD, thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Yep.